At the beginning of the scene, we are shown against the backdrop of the rainy atmosphere, and the main character, namely Fujimiya Amane, is walking home. Until by chance, the corner of his eye caught the figure of the girl, who would be the focus, the main story this time, named Sina. Mihiru was sitting on the swing while in the rain. The story is still in the prologue. Certainly not explained the reason why the girl sat pensive there. But as soon as Amane realized that the rain water, it turned out to be mixed with tears. Mihiru, Amane, who usually acts indifferent, somehow suddenly approached the girl. Then give her an umbrella.
俺が彼女、椎名真昼と話したのは、この時が初めてだった。風邪ひくし刺して帰れよ。返さなくていいから。
ありがとうございます。
Short story. Arriving at the boarding house, never suspected Safe before. It turned out that he had been awaited by Mihiru to return his umbrella. But I don't know, maybe because it's been raining for too long, Amane started showing symptoms of fever. Even for this, he had to be carried by Mihiru. But just opened the door of the boarding house. Mihiru was immediately greeted with a view. A lot of trash scattered around, so that in order to repay the kindness of Amane earlier, the girl also sincerely took care of Amane, even cooked food for him.
ごもっともで。うまい。
それはどうも。
Okay, just a little info. Amane and Mihiru. Since entering high school, it's been a few months living next door. But given the talented Mihiru, good in academic, sports, even easy to get along with people around. Amania, who is an introvert, self-aware that the girl, it is beyond his reach. And when giving an umbrella, the first time the two of them spoke. Back to the present. After the condition of Yamane, rather better teen. Save that, apparently dinner with just an aki jelly drink. So Mihiru, seeing it, immediately brought a box of cupcake, so that the neighbor doesn't lack nutrients. But this is where their closeness will begin. Because when about to return Mihiru's Tupperware, the girl had apparently prepared a new box of supplies to be eaten by Amane. And this has been done by Mihiru for some time. That made the teenager's diet begin to change.
また次の日も、椎名から中身の入ったタッパーを手渡される。不思議な日常が始まった。
The next day, looks Safe is approaching Mihiru, who was sitting in the park. But this time the neighbor didn't want to cry. But his leg is being dislocated as a result of trying to helping a cat that was stuck in a tree. And Safe, knowing that the cook is hurting, without thinking, immediately treat your legs that much. He is also willing to carry Mihiru home to avoid swelling on his legs.
今日はありがとうございました。とても助かりました。
いいよ別に。じゃあ、お大事に。
Then, when giving his neighbor a meal ration as usual, Safe, who may forget themselves, start acting out. Seen when he said, "Want to try freshly cooked food by Mihiru." But his hobby, Mihiru just don't mind. As long as Amane want to pay for the joint venture, buy groceries that they will eat later. And the girl also said she wasn't afraid if Amane wants to do anything, because he will directly cover the joni until into a cow's eye egg.
まあ、 安全な人だとは認識してます。
それはどうも。
Okay, before continuing to see their intimacy, first of all, let's Mimin introduce to Amain's best friend, named Akazawa Itsuki, as well as his girlfriend, named Sarakawa Chitos. And the reason Mimin deliberately introduced these two side characters was because Amani wanted to ask them for advice related to gifts, what suitable given to someone whose relationship has not been too close. Well, the gift is none other than intended from a hero. And the reason why Amain can find out the date of the girl's birthday was when he accidentally saw his student card that fell while cooking. At the same time, the gift, intended as a form of gratitude for services, may entertain all this time. But when asking directly to the person, can you guess what that thing? What the girl wants?
欲しているのは、砥石ですね。
砥石?
Yes, never expected by us before. Girls and by age like Miharu apparently not want Boba Pro Max or Skincare Mahal. But he is more attracted to objects smelling function. One of them is a stone. But when the girl's birthday came, unexpectedly inhaling, his people will get a gift from Amain in the form of hand cream, so that it can keep the moisture of his hands, as well as a teddy bear, as a reminder of Amain's figure.
何ですか？
いや、別に。
ありがとうございます。藤宮さん。あまね、いるんでしょ？あまね。あら、あまね、元気そうでよかったわ。
On the next story, we are introduced to Amain's mother named Fuji Miyasai Hoko. Where women, it was making an impromptu visit to see how his son was doing. But we can see, look on the face does not like emitted by Amain, because it turned out that he was hiding Mihiru in the room, so as not to create misunderstandings with his mother. While for Chuko, who has a mother's instinct, immediately noticed some irregularities. The first place his son lived was now cleaner. Second look at the dinner plate, there are two, and unkept, forbidding himself from entering the room. And knowing there is something that his son is hiding. Smell the curiosity of the Hoko. Yes, so, found out that his son lived with a beautiful girl. Sioko is happy because now a Manim has someone who can take care of all their needs. But once the Mahiro wakes up, he could not correct the misunderstanding. Because when about to explain, if he only helps cook food for Amain, Sioko actually asks Mahiro to start, now continues to care for his son.
まひるちゃん。はい。まひるちゃん、連絡先教えて。はい。
Switching to school, since it's soon Christmas or special event for people dating will arrive. Chidos asked permission to hold an event at On's house, along with Mitsuki. But because the girl kept insisting on asking permission to have a party, then accept the request. Well before the day H comes, safe on purpose, tell Mihiru that he would have a small party with his friend, so that Mihiru must not visit. I'm afraid they accidentally exposed their relationship later. And safe is also sure, the Mihiru must have had an event at that time. like hanging out with family or school friends. However, it was suspected by Mihiru said he had rejected all invitation from the boys in class because he was used to spending Christmas Eve alone. And instead of spending time with people who don't, to close Mihiru, he was interested in playing Nintendo together with a main later.
いいのか？ゲームとかで。
はい。それでいいです。
Short story. When Christmas Eve comes, look safe and Itsuki and Chidos have a threesome party only. But the event is more of a show of intimacy between Itsuki and Chidos, until their attention was suddenly diverted out, precisely to the sudden snowfall. But as soon as it went to the balcony, not expecting, instead they met Mihiru.
ねえねえ、行こう。ベランダ行こう。おう。お前ここにすんなさい。なんでここに？
Then after being explained about all their relationships, Mitsuki began to understand the outline, but what the teenager doesn't understand is why Mihiru would bother just for someone status as a neighbor. And if seen by the eyes of ordinary people, their closeness almost resembles a pair newlyweds. Then since Mihiru so joined with them, the moment was taken advantage of by Chidos to get acquainted with the school's dream girl, who got dubbed as an angel. However, because Mitsuki's girlfriend was less able to keep the boundaries, it had to be stopped by Amani so as not to make Mihiru so uncomfortable. But one good thing to be learned from today's events is, at least make Mihiru make some new friends.
それでもね、いっくんはいつも笑って食べてくれるんだよ。
Then after they get home, or precisely when my hero and Amain live alone, here Amain gives a pack of gifts, in the form of a small bag as a Christmas gift for his neighbor. And unexpected, Mihego has also prepared the same thing for Amain, which is a scarf so that the teenager does not fall ill. But the next day the opposite happened, because suddenly Mihiru's body suddenly hot, so he was forced by Amain to rest immediately. And because he didn't want his room to be entered by An, Mihiru also asked to rest in the room, his neighbors only. Well, if you remember the scene, when Amain was sick at the beginning, all now turned to Miheo, who was cared for attentively by Amain, from the meal provided until the teenager, also willing to accompany Miheo's life until he fell asleep.
ほら。さっさと寝ろ。
はい。
ったく。ほんと、心臓に悪いやつめ。
Sometime after, Chidos was visiting Amin's house, where he intended to ask his girlfriend's best friend, chocolate-related like what Mitsuki likes. And Safe also do not know the taste like what his best friend likes. He also recommended chocolate, which the conversation is followed by Proficient, who are making drinks. Then switch to school. Exactly on Valentine's Day, let's introduce you to the students, most handsome in class named Kado Wakiyuta, where we can see the teenager had already received a lot of chocolate among women. And thing, it's actually not to bothered by Amain, but different things with some other students, who looked at Kado Waki as if to say,
もちろん本命だよ。ああ、私のだって本命だからね。門脇くん、私も本命チョコだよ。
うん。あり
りがとう。
Well, when the clock comes home, I don't know if I feel sorry for you. Tumban Tumbania, Amain invites Teen. It talks and gives a plastic bag so that make it easier for Katawaki to bring all the Valentine. And then it starts from that trivial thing. Friendship between them. Seen on the next day. Katawaki went straight to Amain. Meant to thank you for the help yesterday. Okay, before continuing the story, a little flashback. Last night, when my hero was about to give chocolate Valentine to Amain, but since girl, it's too shy to give it directly, he deliberately hung his chocolate to the doorknob, which apparently was made with a mixture of between orange and chocolate, resulting in blend of flavors that are not too sweet or bitter. As a result, in return for chocolate and Mihiru helped during this time, Amain also gave a surprise with him, who suddenly changed his appearance, as well as rewarding the girl with a bracelet that must have been bought. Used his allowance for 1 week. But the thing, commensurate with the service that has been safely received, let alone when he had to see the sweet smile of his neighbor. The After the incident, seen Atsuki, who returned to visit Amain's house, but this time it's not just coming to visit, but instead want to stay over for a few days. The shirt was noisy with his father. Case does not approve of the relationship with Chidos, and the arrival of Suki is certainly welcomed by Mihiru, which was soon followed by the arrival of Chidos alone.
マヒルの料理楽しみ。行こう。会いたかった。心配しなくても納得の上ですからね。
Well, because you don't want to. If only Atsuki and Sweet only who can enjoy Mihiru cuisine. Chidos also stayed at Kozen Mihiru. And there actually wasn't an incident, whatever, while they're having a sleepover. Unless a sudden situation sends a photo to Amani in the form of pictures inhaling and wearing pajamas when about to fall asleep, where it is enough to make a main so senate. Especially girls, it was hugging a teddy bear division of itself.
3日で五木のお泊まりは終了。あと2日くらい千歳の家に泊まるらしい。
After the departure of a young couple, that's the real story is just about to begin. Where when Amain just returned from Indomaret, accidentally he saw, there is one woman with a dirty face talking to Mihiru. And like a jeweled neighbor, Trust immediately hide in order to eavesdrop the content of their conversation. Then once the woman is done with her business, then the Trust comes out and spontaneously approached Mihiru.
聞いていたんですか。先に言っておきますけど、昔からあんな風でしたから慣れてますよ。
Explained in the beginning. Mahiro parents get married not because they like each other, but the result, arranged by family. And their original intention was not to have children either. But what can I say? There was an incident that made Mihiru, or a child who is initially unwanted, was born into the world. Suddenly, as soon as Amain heard the story, he immediately understood the reason why Mahiro have always fought their hardest in school is to get recognition from both parents, which unfortunately did not produce results, but instead, Amain immediately hugged Mihigo to ease the burden a little. Even let the girl, pouring out all tears in the warm embrace of an Amain.
今日のところは。
お、
心で捕まえておいてください。
Then, during the semester change, or easy language up the grade, since it is safe to get privilege from the creator, he can now feel what it's like to be in a class with an angel. And not spared, the creator also included Kado Waki in the class. But strangely, when the teenager greeted Amain herself was suddenly reminded of her past, who seems to have a problem with their classmates.
藤宮？ああ、悪い。ぼーっとしてた。今年もよろしくな。
Okay, tell me that first. Because when the teacher are assigning them, form a group when culinary lessons, Mihiru went straight to Amani, thus making teen. It was immediately looked at teeth by most other students. Where else can not only enjoy the girls cooking, when you're at home, Amain also returned to feel the incredible taste. Even if it's only cooked with simple spices. It's different with groups. Others who look like playing around. And all of a sudden.
この焦げがいいんだよ。どこがだよ。こっから本気出すんだよっと。
Yes, supported by extraordinary reflexes, Amain managed to save Mihego from hot water. Smell here to Mihiro, can also see the male session of Amain, who immediately scolded the two circles, so as not to play around when dealing with objects. Dangerous. Well, according to Mimin Private, there are 3 things that can be used as a benchmark for a man. First, in nurturing the second, provide for, and finally love. And maybe Mihiro see all that in Amanis, making himself more clenched. With the teenager. Sometime after, seen Amain with Mihego, who was relaxing on the sofa, where because now it's entering the Golden Week period, or a series of national holidays in Japan. Mihiru also asked on for one day to accompany her out, and of course Amain did not object to the request. But when asked where to go, Mihiru even asked back where to visit Amani, so that they can spend time together. And beyond his expectation, the place that wanted to be visited by the teenager turned out to be a cat cafe.
楽しみですね。早く休みになってほしいです。
そうだな。
Short story when the day H comes. Can we see a main Kimboy dressed up quite handsome? While the Mihiro bears his hair in anticipation. Unwanted things when playing with cats. Later no. When I got to the cafe, we can see there is a lot of cats. And safe all the hero too, playing with any of them. But, what's interesting is, when served a drink with cat toppings on it, Mihiro can't bear to drink it, so that it became the subject of their jokes during Be There. Not just at the cafe. And Mihego also visited other places such as clothing store. But while he was waiting for his neighbor, trying on clothes inside, not expecting, Amani was teased by two other girls, who unfortunately, Mihiro immediately came to invite Amani away from there.
さあ、行きましょう。
In order to relieve jealousy, The girl also tried to play Claus dolls and shop together, but when they're sitting chilling, unexpectedly came Kadowaki, who automatically surprised. Didn't expect you have a close relationship with a Shinomaru. But since Kadowaki is not, wants to interfere in someone's personal life, he also promised not to tell the others about their closeness.
ああ、そのことについては心配しなくていいよ。つまんないことで藤宮と縁切れるのは嫌だし、せっかく仲良くなれたんだからさ。
Okay, before continuing, Mimin will tell you a little about Amane's past, where the teenager belongs to the category lucky boy, born into a family that is very harmonious. But the trouble started when Amanen didn't know the world. I was friends with some of the wrong people, where they don't consider her safe as a best friend, but only one rich man's son to be squeezed by his property. They also do not hesitate to disfigure the security behind, which when reprimanded third bad boy, it shows no guilt at all. That since then, Amane has trans-issue problems in friendship relationships, and decided to move to the city so as not to meet his old friends. And all these events are told to Mihiru. But, do you know how the girl reacted when she heard the story?
私にできるのは、あなたの悲しみを受け入れて、あなたを支えることです。
Yes, Mihiru, as a girlfriend figure, Dream immediately trying to encourage. He also did not hesitate to hug Amane, exactly like the one Amane had done to her before. And that's enough to make Amane so carried away feeling, but all of a sudden, too bad. It was all just a dream. But it was enough to make Amane so embarrassed, especially when it comes to dealing directly with Mihiru. And automatic, the angel who is aware the unnatural behavior of his neighbor, even trying to ask for an explanation for the sudden change in attitude from Amane.
私が、あまねくんを誘惑？
本当に悪いと思ってるんだ。普段はそういう目で見ないように気をつけてるんだが。
Instead of feeling embarrassed or trying to change the conversation, Mihiru actually curious about techniques like what is done, Mihiru in dream version Amane, and thing he deliberately asked to be a reference when one day will spoil the neighbor.
今日はあまねくんに避けられたので我慢してください。
Shin moved back to school, where we can see Mihiru is back in the limelight because she was wearing a summer uniform, or outfit that is certainly a little more open than usual. But the other students certainly still lost to Amane, who had already seen the scene. There is no special incident during school hours. Mimin Short went home, precisely when Amani was about to go home with Kadowaki, but their objective changed when I saw my skill being asked for help by the teacher to take care of some paperwork. Well, while helping Mihiru mem Stipo's sheet of paper that accidentally heard the voice of some girls who vilify the Mihiru behind. But all that talk is not to take into heart, but just smile enough.
先生に媚び売るだけじゃなくて男子にも媚び売ってるんだよね。大切な人がいるとか言っておいて男子に色目使っちゃって。ほんと八方美人って感じ。
As we know, in most people's eyes, Mihiru is considered an angel figure because of a beautiful face, as well as her helpful personality round. But definitely always there are some people assume all that just mere mask for violence, imaging in the public eye. And the reason why my hero always tries without perfectionist is to be able to change the views of those people. However, because now he has someone who knows their real personality, the Mihiro no longer prioritizes it, but rather calm the heart of those closest to him.
なら全然怖くないですね。私にとってあまねくんはかっこいいですよ。かわいい人。
Suddenly, because basically, Amania too is a teenager in puberty, he immediately covered Mihiru's mouth to warn the girl not to tease other teenagers in that way. But the interesting thing is, Mihiru actually kissed Amane's cheek, proof that the teenager is a special person, then immediately went away from there. As a result, after the incident, Amane will keep distance with Marung, afraid if he will be too hasty, and even so ruin the innocent girl. Even when he was in school, Amanda behaved the way too, so that Itsuki who sees it, I thought the two of them were fighting. As we know, in relationships, romance certainly colored with various moments, be it happy or sad though, because that's the story of love. Not even infrequently, some use violence in order to make their partners forcibly submit. Back to the story. Seemed the school is holding a competition between classes where they would be divided into two squads. There's a red team as well as a white team. The two teams will competing with each other to contest the prize, which has been prepared by the school. Well, for the match itself consists of several competitions, like a relay race, throw the ball, as well as the game being the object accordingly with a written order. And the race followed by Amine and Mihiro happen to be the same. But this is where a big change will take place. When Amine and Mihiro work together, because of the orders they got, they match their characters. And for the commands obtained Amani, which is written, he had to find the most beautiful person. But can you guess? What kind of commands does Mihiru get?
続いて到着ですが、白組一着のお題は大切な人です。
Yes, for the first time, Mihiro openly published to everyone if Safe is a special figure for him, so that it makes everyone present their so astonished made. But instead of being the luckiest guy in class, Amane actually so surrounded by other students and dice car with many, a question that tried to corner him. Until all that changed, when the Mihiro appeared then explained the advantages of Amane.
あなたは好きな人を顔で選ぶのですか？
いや、容
姿だけで好きになるのですか？今後長い付き合いをするかもしれない相手をあなたは顔で選ぶのですか？
それは。
With a look full of confidence, Mihiru was checking from all the other students who tried to demonize the neighbor, where it instantly reveals its safe advantages, who are attentive, care about her, always there when needed. And even from another student's point of view, Amane seems like someone who is antisocial. But Mihiru understands very well how the real character of Amane. In the end, because I couldn't reply, Mihiru's words Everyone left them.
まだ何か言いたいことありますか？
いえ、ないです。
すみませんでした。
Final scene, showing Mihiru come back and approach Amain. Where viewed from the look in his eyes, the girl was like giving a code. And Amain, who understands the meaning of Mihiru, finally ventured to reveal true feelings. At the same time say, I promise to be a worthy person in order to visit beside Mihiru. And this is where the beginning of their new relationship will begin.
俺と付き合ってくれるか？